Hello once again and welcome back to another episode of Father and Sundays, the unexplainable guide to absolutely nothing. This week is episode 129.
129?
It is, and we are on the next episode in our Planet series, and we're talking about Venus today.
Nice.
So stick around if you want to hear more. Hi Dad.
Hi there, Connor. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good thanks. It's good.
Good to be back, yeah?
Yep, it's been an interesting day, but yeah, it's good to record this in the evening.
Interesting day? What's been interesting about your day?
So, just to just briefly, my name's Connor.
Hello, Connor.
I'm the son of Father and Sundays, and you're David.
I am the father
of Father and Sundays. I'm just going to let you in on my morning. So I had a bit of a lay-in this morning. I actually got up about 9.
Okay.
Yep. So just to bear in mind, normally I get up about 6. So
yeah, I'm aware of the time you get up.
That's 3 hours lay-in. So I had a lay-in this morning. Mum and Sue went out to Park Row and Becky came in, went downstairs, had a chat with Becky, spoke about Florida and all that kind of stuff. Becky, I don't know if we've mentioned this before, but Becky also looks after, it was her last day with him today, but she also looks after, normally on Saturday, a little boy who goes to the school she works at. Now, Becky works in a school for people with
special needs.
So
she does
respite care for him.
Yeah,
really nice kid. This one, you've met him as well. Non-verbal. He gets a lot of stimulation from a lot of things. One thing he does like to do whenever he comes around is lick my fish tank.
Yes.
So it was his last time, because Becky's pregnant, it was her last time having him today before she goes on maternity leave. Well, she goes to the summer and then she'll go on maternity leave towards the end of the summer. But, and he was being good. He was jumping on the trampoline that's in the back room at the moment for some reason. He was doing all this kind of stuff. He started licking the fish tank. I laughed about the fact he licked the fish tank. It's one of the last time he's going to lick the fish tank. And then he did his normal thing of reaching down the side of the fish tank because there's a pipe that's down the side of the fish tank. I went, hey, don't stick your hand down there. But before I even got that out, I was running towards him because he managed to pull a pipe out the back of the fish tank and there was water squirting everywhere. And I had to run over. I was still in like dressing gown and stuff like that. Shoved my thumb in the end of the pipe and then was shouting for help to get everything shut off whilst to stop my tank from completely draining. He was a bit upset because his shoes got wet.
Well, I can understand that entirely. I know no one wants to get wet feet, do they?
That was an interesting morning.
It sounds.
And then I unblocked a drain.
Did you?
Yeah, with my hands.
Excellent.
One in the garden.
Brilliant. I didn't know it was blocked.
Yeah, it was very blocked. Went out there to pour some of the water down the drain and the washing machine had emptied into it and it was really high.
Well, that's an interesting start. I had
How was your day?
My day was okay. I had an interesting morning where one of the people that I was delivering to told me they'd got a new cat a week earlier and they've already had it microwaved. To which I was a little bit alarmed and I looked at him and I'm thinking, I hope you mean microchipped, because if you actually mean microwaved, I might have to call the authorities. But yeah, so that's been an interesting morning. I get that quite a lot with those sort of things anyway, but sounds like yours was a bit more eventful than mine.
It was it wasn't the worst thing. I wasn't angry. It was just one of those moments. This is not good.
No, not good. Because fish,
the fish were fine, by the way,
and that's something I picked up from several of our podcasts over this period of time. You know, the rivers one or the reef. That's one of the big takes I had from those particular podcasts. Fish need water.
Yep.
Going back to previous podcasts, I feel like I need to say something about last week's one. Last week's one was
Sherlock Holmes.
And was a real indulgence for me because I'm a big Sherlock Holmes fan. I think probably a bit bigger fan than you are of Sherlock Holmes, would you say? Yes, because you don't really follow it and don't. So I think I probably sort of went around the houses a little bit. I did listen to it.
Is it all right?
It wasn't as bad as when I came off of doing the podcast and thought that's the worst podcast we've ever done. It wasn't that bad.
Did you actually think that?
I did think it was quite bad, yeah, because it just felt like
Didn't say that to me.
I understand completely.
You didn't there's podcasts we've done in the past, and then you've come away really upset. So it's not worked out, and then you listened back to it and thought, actually, it was all right.
It was all right, yeah. But yeah, it had some merit to it, and I found a bit about Sherlock Holmes that I already knew.
I found some stuff out about Sherlock Holmes that I didn't already know.
Didn't know, yeah. So I imagine since last week you've probably read a couple of the books.
No.
Or watched a few
No.
of the series or
No.
looked at the film.
No?
Okay.
I haven't even thought about Robert Downey Jr.
Have you not?
For
I
the
always
entire
think
week.
about Robbie. Oh, did it again, Robbie Downey Jr. One thing I did say, and I should have done as a fact check, really, was I said that he wrote his first book at the same time as Oscar Wilde. They all met, and they were both given a brief to go and write a story. And Studying Scarlet was the What on earth are you doing? I've just noticed. I think this is probably a bad idea, but we're both drinking, and I think Connor just put something in his belly button and just showed me.
Put the bottle cap in it.
Nice. But I said Oscar Wilde wrote the story of The Face of Dorian Gray. Well, obviously, it's the picture of Dorian Gray. So I'd slap myself out about a bit after that because I was a little bit embarrassed by that. Other things that
didn't pick up on it at all. Still probably wouldn't.
Because you've other things that's going on. Well. All you people out there that had no faith in the England football team, shame on you. Because tomorrow, when this goes out, about so many hours after it, England will play Spain, because I've just remembered it's Spain.
It's 15 hours after, by the way.
15 hours after. England will play Spain in the Euro finals after a couple of rather exciting matches, following 3 quite boring matches.
Yeah.
I'll give you that, but ye of little faith out there, get behind your team, and or you never know, tomorrow we might be European champions. And won't that be good?
Yeah, it would.
It would.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it's quite exciting, isn't it? Yeah,
Yep.
Football's coming home, or maybe it might be, kind of.
Either way, they've made it to the end.
They've made it to the end. There was
Haven't we done well?
Haven't we done well? Yeah.
Trading shirts at the end of the games.
Yeah, we've so me and Connor have got into a bit of a habit now. It's a traditional thing now when
For
we're
all of
watching
2
football.
games.
That at the end of the game we exchange shirts, but neither of us really want to put the other person's shirt on, so we do it and then we just give it back and put our own shirts on again. But it's good fun.
Yeah. Would you recommend it?
I wouldn't recommend it, no. Next, what I was going to say, we did have a bit of a weird one last weekend because it was the quarterfinals, wasn't it?
Yeah,
last weekend, and I was doing a run, which is an overnight sort of run. You camp and you do a certain amount of laps.
Yeah, so that since the last podcast, we've had 2 England games.
We've had 2 England games, and it was also
was recorded.
Your nephew and my grandson, his 2nd birthday this week just gone, and the previous Saturday, at the same time as the England game, there was a meal organised, wasn't there, for David, for his 2nd birthday, which was a bit weird, really.
I think it was for Mum's birthday as well.
Oh, was it for Mum's birthday? Was it for my birthday as well? No? Was
Maybe.
it too far? Yeah. Anyway, but no, little bit concerned about the timing, but you
kick-off was 5 o'clock.
Yep.
And the table was booked for 5:15.
5:15, yeah. In a pub that they weren't showing the football.
Yep.
But it was very nice. I did pop along, and although there were many children's parties in there, there were some quite loud. There was lots of little groups of blokes sitting there with quite obviously their phone propped up on something while they were watching it, and there was quite a bit of bad language at one point as well, which was a bit dodgy considering there was some little children running about. But never mind. Well, we came through that unscathed.
Yeah, I didn't go.
I know you weren't very well,
I
were
didn't
you?
feel very well,
You
no.
didn't feel very well. Anyway, so that was Heart 24. And the only other thing I wanted to ask, I just wondered how Dave Martin was getting on at the moment.
Oh, what, the ex-West Ham football player, then went to Southend United as a goalkeeper, and then since then has joined Ipswich Town.
Because I know
He's joined Ipswich Town.
Oh, right. I know you've got a vested interest in
No, I
Dave
don't.
Martin.
I literally I sent you a message. So just to clarify, I've played Football Manager, and in Football Manager, I decided to play Southend United. And at the start of last season, they had a transfer embargo and they had 10-point deduction. So it's a really poor choice to pick for Football Manager. However, I played with them. I had David Martin as my goalkeeper, and he used to play for West Ham. And that was it, because we live so close to Southend United.
We do.
Football
We are a
stadium,
stone's
Brits
throw away from, and I often do throw stones at
Yeah,
them.
you do.
Yeah.
But it just seemed quite cool that there was an ex-West Ham player playing there, and he was playing for Southend. He's now gone to Ipswich Town, another Premier League side. He's literally gone from Premier League to National League back to Premier League.
Yeah.
But he was a free agent, wasn't he? But
But no, I've got a lot of time for Dave Martin, and I'll be interested to find out in the weeks to come. How
you'll
he's
be
getting
interested to know that Gus Scott Morris just signed a new 2-year contract with Southend United.
on. I'm not so bothered about Gus.
No?
They're more interested in Dave.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm interested to find out what happens.
According to my Football Manager save, Bo McDonald should be an excellent player for Southend United. He should go up through the ranks.
Okay. I look forward to seeing what happens there. Right. Anyway, what are we talking about this week, Guy?
We are doing our second in our series of planets, and we're talking about Venus. Now, just to clarify,
I think it's more of a lecture, isn't it? It's a lecture come TED talk.
No.
No?
Who's Ted? No, we're talking about Venus. I think I first should apologise, because the last time that we did the planets episode, we then didn't record for like 6 months. So
let's hope that doesn't happen.
That was
again.
Mercury. Let's hope that we don't end up stopping for 6 months.
Well,
I guess it all depends on tomorrow's result.
What, do you think it's going to be that bad? We feel so devastated that we... No, well, we'll see. We'll see. It's great.
But yeah, this is the second in it, so we're talking about Venus.
Well, I remember last time when we did... Let me know when you're going to finish. Right, there they go.
I finished.
When we talked about Mercury, I started looking at Mercury and I found I wasn't that inspired by it. But I think I feel a little bit differently about Venus.
Do you?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
A bit more excited about Venus.
Do you reckon? Because that sheets of paper that you're using with extra large print,
yep,
there doesn't seem to be as many sheets of paper as
normal. I learned from last week that it's not all about how many pages you've got, it's about the content of those pages. And I had lots and lots of stuff to talk about, but it was just...
But I didn't have lots and lots to talk about.
You didn't. And you've probably got more to talk about on this one than you would have on the other one.
Yeah.
So where to start? Right, so where does Venus sit in the solar system, Connor?
Do you want me to answer?
Yes, please.
Second, because that's why we're doing it as a second podcast. Because
Well,
you
I know
wanted to
that.
do Mars next, and I told you no Venus.
Well, that was a bit annoying, actually. And I'm going to put that there because I wrote.
You've done really well with the Mars podcast, haven't you?
I have. I've written quite a lot of the Mars podcast, and I'd written a song as well. And then I realised that we were going to have to do Venus, so I had to go back.
And we're not releasing that for a month or so either.
No, we aren't either. But at least it's there. That's something, isn't
The
it?
ginger nuts are in the
Hang
way.
on. Are they my ginger nuts?
Yeah.
What the hell are
Our
they doing?
ginger nuts.
They're not our ginger nuts. I bought them for myself. What are they doing in your room?
I wanted ginger nuts.
Oh, you
I was working from home, wasn't I?
Cheeky, what's name? Anyway,
They're actually ginger snaps.
ginger snap. I don't care what they are. They're mine. That's what they are. So, why do we call it Venus?
Again, do you want me to answer?
Well, I'm putting it out. I've got it written down here. But if you'd like to answer it, do you?
Well,
do you
I don't know the exact reason, but it's named after the Roman goddess Venus, goddess of love.
Yeah. Love and beauty.
Love and beauty.
Let's not forget that.
The
No.
beauty bit.
What's the Greek counterpart?
Aphrodite.
Wow. Well done.
Don't know, from our Greek
And why?
episode.
And one of the reasons why
Ancient Greece.
it's named after them.
Because it's the brightest out there and the most beautiful.
Shut up.
Is that true?
Are you? This is pretty much what I've got written down here. Venus
just
is
guessed
named after
because
the
it is
Roman
quite
goddess.
bright.
Yep, was named after a beautiful Roman goddess due to its bright, shining appearance in the sky.
Ah. I mentioned about the Mars one, but I'm not going to now because we'll wait to the episode. But
Yes, yeah, because,
spoilers.
Yeah, it's spoilers. And
It's one of the few planets you can actually see in the sky with the naked eye. Anyway.
do you know what the others are?
Yep.
Okay.
Mercury, Jupiter, and Mars, and Saturn sometimes.
And the moon and the sun.
What?
Well, that's true, isn't it?
But that's why they because that's why they knew about those planets, and that's why they've all got like the Roman names, because Uranus and Neptune aren't Roman names, are they? Interestingly, because they were discovered later. They were discovered later by when the telescope was invented. Basically, you're looking through your sheets of paper.
I'm looking through my
a
sheets.
specific bit of information.
I was looking for a specific piece of information. I think it was first discovered.
Oh, is this from the top of your head?
It is, because I can't actually see it here.
Keep talking, and then you'll be able to find it.
Do you think that's going to work?
Yeah.
It might work. I don't know if it'll work. It might. It may not. It could do. It could.
It was
could,
first
it might do.
discovered.
It was because it was first. Well, if I'm honest, the first person to look at Venus in a telescope was astronomer Galileo Galilei in 1610, which was quite a long while ago.
Galileo.
Yeah, that's how they used to say his name. When they called it out at assembly. So he looked through
The Queen said it like that.
a telescope.
Yeah.
That's what it is. A telescope, and spotted it. And it's not always been called Venus, but we'll come on to that later on in this particular podcast. This is FNSD News, and I'm Dan Dirtbox.
And I'm Cassandra Eggnog.
This week's headlines. Ed Sheeran superfan marries Ed Sheeran lookalike.
Man divorces wife of 25 years, marries chicken.
Duck eats yeast, quacks and explodes. Man loses eye.
Iraqi head seeks arms.
Well, a lot of things when it comes to solar system, when it comes to planets, we've only got there's the third planet in our solar system. Ow, just whack my elbow.
Yeah, mind that.
Yep, is Earth. Yeah?
Yep.
We've only got one of them, and a lot of people look at the other planets in the solar system and go, "Could we live there?" Have you considered whether we could live on Venus?
Have I considered where we would live on Venus?
Could we live on Venus?
Could we live on Venus? Not really.
Because I think we spoke about a little bit of Mercury potentially.
Yes, well, in my mind, in my childlike mind, people often talk about Venus being the most like Earth. Well,
It's referred to as Earth's twin.
Yeah, evil twin, and there's a reason why it's called Earth's evil.
As Earth's twin.
No, it's evil twin. I read it in a book on
Mr. Bin.
Google. You've Mr. Bin. I used to go to school with him, Mr. Bin. Right.
That was a good one.
Right. So
He was your teacher, wasn't he?
he was. Yeah, we asked, "Good morning, Mr. Bin." So I thought, yeah, it was much like Earth, but it is to a certain extent, like internally, it's like Earth. So it's got like a crust, a mantle, and a core, not necessarily in that order.
Excuse me. So yeah.
Because
Well, no, that is in that order. Just going from outside in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Going the opposite way.
And its atmosphere and stuff. I think the mass is very similar to that of Earth, meaning that
It's very much in the same size as us. It's not too dissimilar in size.
Yeah. So its gravity is actually very similar to that of Earth. I think gravity of Earth is like 9.81, and I think this one's like 9.08.
It's more or less the same as Earth's.
Yes, it's out by a little bit, which means that in terms of muscular and bone structures and stuff like that, there shouldn't be too much deterioration from that of living on Earth. Compared to somewhere like Mars, where Mars has got like 0.45 or whatever, it's basically a load less gravity, which means it might not be that. I don't know, but it's I can't remember it off the top of my head. But it's got so much less that it should still be fine for people being on there, but there could potentially be more longer term issues in terms of muscle deterioration, stuff like that. But when it comes to Venus, there are other things. There are some downsides, but let's first off talk about some of the positives. So, have you ever thought about? I think how long would it take to get to Venus?
It would take,
off the top of your head,
it would take around 3.5 to 6.5 months.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you know that is actually less time than it would take to get to Mars? Because Mars would take about 5 to 6 months-ish.
Yeah, and there's several reasons for that, I believe.
There are several reasons. Go ahead.
Well, I
feel
can
like
only
you
remember
might-
one of them at the moment, and that's because of the gravitational pull.
Yeah.
The idea being that if you could send something to, it's almost like a slingshot.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you sent something to Venus, it would enable you to go further again. So it's almost like, I know you'd.
Yeah, they use that to travel quite a lot in the solar system, is to slingshot around planets.
Yeah. So there is that, and I can't think of any other.
Oh, okay.
reason.
Well, it's the closest planet to Earth.
Yeah.
So it won't take as long because it isn't as far, and there's actually certain times, and it's also worth bearing in mind that not only, but that I'm speaking faster than what
Your
my
brain's
head's, than what I can do with my brain. So
Yeah.
just a quick one. It is closer, but you might go, oh, sometimes Mars is closer, and that's true. Sometimes Mars is closer. However, it also take into account how many times how many days difference it is for us to be close enough.
Yeah.
And I think it's like 400 and something for Venus. So like a bit over a year, it will basically be close enough for us to travel to.
All right.
So-
I mean,
And then if you compare that to Mars, then it's closer to 2 years.
yeah.
So every 2 years you could travel to Mars. So if you think about it, like how often could we send things to Venus? It's going to take a lot longer. So imagine you're on Venus and you're running out of supplies.
Yeah. Supplies.
Then you only have to wait a bit over a year for more stuff.
which,
Whereas Mars,
which could be problematic from what I hear.
but it depends on if you ration it and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
but my point being is, if you know you're running out of supplies, then waiting a year and rationing things over a year is a lot better than rationing it over 2 years.
That is very true.
So you have got that. Anything else?
I can't think of anything else. I told you I already knew the bit about the fact that it's sort of a slingshot. I seem to have read somewhere.
Yeah, but it's also just closer. The thing is, we alluded to, and you said that it's known as the evil twin.
Yeah.
Why would it be the evil twin?
Well, there's a few things, right? There's a few things that would be particularly problematic. Let's put it that way. It has the densest atmosphere of the terrestrial planets, composed mostly, but not exclusively, of carbon dioxide with thick sulfuric acid cloud cover.
Mm-hmm. Do you know, because it's the densest, if you were to go onto the surface,
Yep.
now, though the gravity might not be too different, the pressure is immense. So there have been probes that have been sent to, I don't know if this is something you maybe read, but there's been probes sent to Venus, and before they've even touched down, I think it was the Soviet probes, 2 of them,
Yeah.
before they even touched down, they were crushed in the atmosphere.
Yeah, I think there's been a number of probes, and as you say, a few Russian ones. I think they last literally, there has been pictures, but they last literally for seconds.
Yeah,
And then,
there was one that lasted a tiny bit longer.
Yeah,
I
but
think it even
not-
got to the surface, but it didn't last very long at all.
Not long at all. Like you say, the pressure there. It lacks an internal dynamo. It spins the other way as well. Do you know that? Yeah. So I think it's the only planet in our solar system that spins the opposite direction to everywhere else.
So it goes backwards in time.
It goes clockwise actually, because I think every other planet goes anti-clockwise.
Depends which direction you're looking from.
I'm looking from here. No, well, I am. There's no doubt about it. I am looking from here. It would. I think what you were saying about the days. It's 1 day on Earth is 243 days on Venus.
Yeah, I mean, when I said days, I meant how many Earth days it is until we get closest to it. That's what I was talking about with days.
Oh, right. So, okay.
But you're right. So one day is 200 odd Earth days. So that basically means that the day-night cycle would last 200 and whatever days that we're used to.
Yeah.
So that could, I guess, cause a bit of an issue. However, there are parts of the world that don't go dark for 6 months at a time.
This is very true.
So it's not completely out of the realms of possibility.
It's 900 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 482 degrees Celsius.
Yep.
So it's a little bit...
It's a little bit warm. So both of those things,
Yeah.
you could say, could be a detriment to living on the surface of Venus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So would you say that's probably not a viable option to live on them Venus?
No, it's a little bit too hot.
Well, okay, but that's living on the surface of Venus. Have you considered living in the atmosphere?
Well, I do believe, and I know you're saying this, but I do believe that there's certain... I can't remember so many kilometres up. There's like the cloud,
Yeah.
and they've actually looked at these. They can see these traces in these clouds. Well, they've talked about microscopic life as well. I know there used to be water on Venus, like many planets. Have had that sort of.
There's no way of having natural water on Venus at the moment.
No, but it's certainly
There's not the elements there to be able to form it. There is oxygen in the atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to look here exactly what I was going for, but the black streaks in the clouds that they can't explain. Scientists have looked at that, but that's so far up in above. I thought I'd written it down, but it's so many kilometres above the surface is actually reasonably okay. You might be able to survive for certain time. So they obviously have a cloud city or something like that.
This is the point with Venus is it's not necessarily going to say this is a perfect solution, but the possibility of having colonized Venus at this point in time would be something like having a cloud city, and that's not just like having something. I can't remember exactly how it works in Star Wars. Do they float or do they have a pillar that goes all the way down to the surface?
No, float.
They float.
They're powered.
So that's exactly what the intention of a cloud city of Venus would be, and it's not having to power it either for it to float, because if you were to fill it with basically breathable atmosphere is less dense than the carbon dioxide below, so it's going to float anyway. So if you were to build something, there's a potential it could float as on air, if as such. It's not flying, it's essentially floating. It's the same as if you were to... Have you ever seen I can't remember what the gas is, but it's a gas that you can pour into a container, and it's more dense than air. So you can get something like a tinfoil boat and float it on top. Have you ever seen that?
Okay, no, I've never seen that.
And it's like when you have helium and your voice goes high, this one you do it and your voice goes low.
Oh, right, okay.
It can be quite dangerous because obviously rather than
you're not supposed to do that with helium
just leaves your lungs because it comes up.
Yeah.
Whereas this gas...
Oh, right,
sinks down.
okay.
So sometimes
Probably
people
won't be
get rid of
doing
it
that
by doing a handstand or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway,
Sounds like you're
my point
making
being
that bit up.
is having Google it. Having us essentially float in the atmosphere rather than living on the surface. So that is essentially a viable option. Alternative.
I guess if we're talking about travelling to these places, these planets, if we've got the technology to actually take people there and to start developing things, then we'd probably we'd be at a time when other technology is available to us that isn't available to us now.
Do you know, interestingly, in the grand scheme of things, okay, maybe the floating stuff isn't necessarily... We could be there. But like, for example, like Mars colonization, we almost definitely could do that now. If we wanted to, we could do that now.
It's more about the travel. It's more about sustaining stuff.
And it's the moral side of it. So it's the actual point of sending humans off somewhere. Because you can't... This is like... They always say about experimenting humans, and like, obviously, animals were some of the first things to go into space, weren't they? Because... people sent animals rather than sending humans.
Yeah, because they value them less than they do.
Exactly. Yeah. But you can't send a rabbit off to colonise Mars.
No.
Because then we'll get Martian rabbits and
loads of them.
And they because they breed
like rabbits.
Yeah. But
But it's for Mars. They always say at the moment it's a one-way ticket. So basically, if you were on a mission to Mars and you went there, it would literally be that will be it. You won't come back to Earth. You'll stay.
Yeah, at least that generation would.
Yeah, exactly. So we're talking about now something that would have a lot of implications. Ethically. Ethically, is that the right word? Morally, yeah.
And ethics, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they also say about Venus being quite a good one for in terms of terraforming and being able to terraform it, but that's a different matter altogether. I've been thinking about this. Sorry, just talking about the Martian thing and Martian rabbits. I've been thinking about this, and I've been thinking if people were to go to Venus, and they were to live there, what would their names be? Would they be Venetians? Because I think that's already taken.
They are called Venetians. I think when it's been referred to before about life forms on different planets, and they've talked about Venus, they've called them.
So they wouldn't
Venetians
call it people of Venus as an alternative, or penis for short.
Yeah. Oh, they could do, yeah. That would be worth it, just for that gag.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, you mentioned Google a little while ago. When you go into Google and you put in facts about Venus or things about Venus...
Is that what you've been doing? Is that
that's
what
I
you've got this information
That's what I do. A lot. That's what I do nearly all the time. Right? What makes me laugh is when you get up, then it says what other people, the most asked questions, sort of, and some of them... when we get on, I believe next week's podcast is Great Apes. I was a bit disturbed It should be. I was a bit disturbed by what some of the questions the general public have asked about great apes. But for some of the things about Venus, so it would say, is it hot on Venus? Is it so hot? I presume it doesn't rain. Well, it does rain. It's acid rain.
Yeah.
How long would a human survive on Venus? And the answer to that was less than 1 second before you...
Because the crushing.
Yeah, exactly. If you weren't on fire...
That's on the surface.
Yeah, did you know it's hotter than Mercury, even though it's further from the sun?
That's again because of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And it's like, so Mercury doesn't have much of an atmosphere, so it doesn't retain the heat. But that's because you remember, I think we spoke about when we did the Mercury episode, it doesn't have much of an atmosphere, therefore in the dark side of Venus, like when it's nighttime, it's incredibly cold. And it's incredibly hot the other side, but that's because there's no heat to be retained by the atmosphere. But then Venus has a atmosphere and has quite a good atmosphere.
Another question was, could you drive on Venus? Right? And no, for the same reasons as...
Yeah.
I don't know why people think this. And there were some other idiotic ones. Did you know it has no moons?
No.
I believe it's the only one who hasn't got a moon of some sort. Am I right?
I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure. Well, I know that a number of the others I'm thinking of now that we haven't covered have got moons, like ourselves, like Jupiter, like Saturn, Neptune's moons. I don't know, Uranus.
Uranus has been mooned, yeah.
Yeah. So, but that was another thing that I was surprised about as well. Tidally, Venus exerts the third strongest tidal force on Earth after the moon and the sun. What about that, eh?
But then that's because it's so close.
Yeah. It's significantly less, but it still has an effect.
Yeah.
But that's something that, I mean, it's just incredible. When you start thinking about that, we talked about the moon and the tides and everything else and all the rest of it. It's just these distant objects, and we could go out. I don't know how clear it is tonight, but we could go out.
It's quite light at the moment.
It's quite light, so I wouldn't be able to see anything.
Much.
But when it gets dark, it might be quite clear. You could walk out there, you could see it. And I mean, with the naked eye, you can see. It blows my mind. I've said this before about stuff, but, you know, even looking at the moon, even seeing the moon up there and actually seeing detail in it. And it wouldn't take much with a telescope to actually see, all right, it's so bright, Venus, that you don't really get much detail if you're looking at it. You have to have certain lenses and all the rest of it to even get anywhere near to having any detail to it, and because of the covering around it with the cloud covering around it. But it's just I just find it mind blowing that, you know, it's within our reach as well. It's not like it's science fiction anymore. Yeah, but it's not like it's science fiction anymore,
No,
is
it's
it?
not. And this is the thing. I do believe within my lifetime there's a chance that people will be on Mars.
Yeah. And that's mad. That's mad. I mean, we look like... I think it's ongoing, but it look like we're going back to the moon.
Oh, me and you.
Not me and you.
I've
no,
touched a bit of the moon.
Yes, so have I.
Yeah.
That was mad as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting one, Venus, because I think it's often overlooked. Because everyone thinks about Mars, don't they? If everyone thinks about a planet and they think about colonisation, they think of Mars.
Yeah. I think it's because...
Also, it's one of the more obvious ones in the night sky.
Yeah.
Purely because it's kind of reddy orange in
But
colour.
I think from the point of view of being able to send probes and send... So obviously on the Mars surface, we've still got vehicles taking samples, taking pictures. Unbelievable. It's just mad. You can't do that on many of the planets because of how inhospitable they are. They're either frozen or hot, like we're talking about Venus, where something wouldn't last five seconds in it, so it wouldn't really be able to give us the data we
Why
want.
don't we have a robot roaming around
Earth?
No, the
We have-
moon.
Round where?
The moon.
The moon? Don't know really. What, like Wallace and Gromit?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it might be. Who's to know there isn't?
It's made of cheese anyway, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Well, with all that chat, I feel like I need to wind down with a bit of a song.
A bit of a song.
Not the whole song, just a bit of one.
Well, you're going to either get all the song or none of the song.
I'll go with none then.
Okay then. So it's game time now.
Oh no, actually, let's do the whole song.
Right, okay. So I'm going to put a little disclaimer out here because we had a chat, didn't we? When you broke the news to me that all of my Mars preparation was in vain for the moment and that I had to go away and rethink it for Venus, I was kind of coming up with a blank as far as what to do about Venus. And then you said to me, what did you say to me, Connor?
I said, why don't you write a song about Venus sound a bit like penis?
Right, and I thought, can I? Can you do that, David? Can you write a song about Venus where you mention the word penis in it? I sure can, and I'm going to tell you now, because I've lost the train of thought and what I was going to say there. I did write a song, so if anybody out there is a bit sensitive and gets a little bit overwhelmed if they hear the word penis, then perhaps turn off for about 3.5 minutes, because this song's called...
Don't just turn off for 3.5 minutes, just skip
turn it down.
Or just skip it.
Or skip it. This song's called What Rhymes with Venus.
I've been trying my hardest to think of some words for this song. It's a struggle, my words are all muddled, something has gone wrong. How do I start with this episode all about Venus? When the only rhyme that's come into mind is penis. Now it might seem silly that the name of a planet reminds us of willies. If you think it's quite heinous, remember we still need to cover Uranus. It would have been easier if the song was instead about Mars, 'cause the choices are endless and less likely to cause a hoo-ha. As for Saturn's rings, they rhyme with pretty much everything. But every time I think of Venus, I think of a ding-a-ling. Now it might seem silly that the name of a planet reminds us of willies. If you think it's quite heinous, remember we still need to cover Uranus. It's the second planet from our sun. If you want peace and quiet, then this is your one. So grab a spacesuit and climb on board, 'cause we're going to a place that reminds me of a pork sword. Now it might seem silly that the name of a planet reminds us of willies. If you think it's quite heinous, remember we still need to cover Uranus. Now it might seem silly that the name of a planet reminds us of willies. If you think it's quite heinous, remember we still need to cover Uranus.
Game time.
Wow, what a nice song.
Oh, did you enjoy it?
Yeah,
I'm glad
it's a
you
good
enjoyed
song.
that. Yep. And if you've just come back to us after turning it down for a little while or skipping it, welcome back.
Yep.
What did you say?
Oh, let's play a game.
Let's play a game. Absolutely. Now, again, this might be the end of the podcast for you because, again, I found it very, very difficult to think of questions. I mean, it does. I do these every single week, and I have to come up with questions.
Not every
for-
single week.
Pretty much every week.
Nah,
I mean, how many episodes have we done?
129. This
Right
is,
now,
this is
all right.
129.
They've not always had a quiz at the end of them, but the vast majority have. Excuse me, and most of them have been written by me, and it is quite difficult to come
Yes,
up with
because you
new
get
things.
angry when I write your quizzes.
No, you can do it. I'm fine with you
You didn't
doing
like the animals one?
No, because it was rubbish, that one. Right, so I've got a quiz for you. Would you like to play the sting?
I'll play the sting.
Astrology or biology, these podcasts are just a mess. Is it gonna be Venus or just about the penis? What are you gonna guess?
What a lovely sting.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Right, here we go then. This
Yep.
is your last
Hang
warning,
on,
everybody.
So, how many questions are there?
There's 8 questions.
Ah, what a reasonable amount of questions.
A
Is that
reasonable
because the
amount of
8
questions.
planets in the solar system?
That's exactly why
That's
I did
not,
it.
is it?
No.
You just wrote 8 questions.
I wrote 8 questions.
And I've just helped you out by saying 8 planets in the solar
Thank you
system.
very much for that, and no one's noticed.
No one's noticed.
Right, so
Do you want to say it so it sounds like you've said it?
so I've done 8 questions for the 8 planets in the solar system.
Oh, there you go. I'll just edit out the other bit. I won't.
No. So the idea of this quiz,
Yep.
Connor, these 8 questions.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you about something about Venus,
Yep.
but as it will you known from the sting, the idea is it's
Yeah.
either about Venus or it's about a penis.
Yep.
Oh no! I think
crazy.
we've reached a new low. We'll probably be taken off here now. So it'll be interesting.
Oh, my
We'll go
goodness.
through the first question.
This podcast has gone from one vibe to another. Like, I feel like the first half of the podcast was actually quite good. Almost. I will say, all of my stuff I said in the first part of the podcast, I didn't have anything written in front of me. It's all from my head. Some of it might not be completely factually correct just because I don't have it written there.
Yeah.
And it was felt like it was actually quite intellectual. This half of the podcast feels like it's gone down the drain.
Oh, thanks.
No,
I've had
you
more.
know what I mean.
I've had.
I mean, like, we've now just got into penis humour.
Well, you know, some might say that's the best kind of humour. So we're going to do this because there's 8. We've got to get through it. And I've read
Nan
the
would
first
have loved
question.
this episode.
No, I don't. This is the only reason I do them now like this, because I would never have done this before. So I'll do the first question and you'll get the idea of where we're going with this.
Do you
Right?
remember when you were worried that Nanny Joyce heard you say, walk in the Great Wall of China dressed as a giant vagina?
Oversized
Oversized
vagina, I think
vagina.
you're fine. Yes, I was. But
Yeah.
I said it sort of speed you say the introduction, so I think I got away with it.
All right.
Question 1. Dartos is a quasi-satellite that orbits Venus. It was named after the Russian astrologist who discovered it, Vladimir Dartsev. Is that true about Venus, or is that more to do with a penis? Dartos.
Well, that's tricky because you said it's a satellite that orbits Venus.
Yeah, but I'm saying Dartos, is that a quasi-satellite that orbits Venus and was named after a Russian astrologist? Or is that false?
The difficulty is you've just told me that Venus has no moons,
I said it had no moons.
but you're saying it has a satellite.
Quasi-satellites or asteroids they are.
I'm going to go with Venus, that one.
That is in fact penis. In fact, well, now you're going to probably get angry about this, right? Because when I tell you that the dartos is the inner lining of the scrotum.
That's not even penis.
I know it's not the penis, but it's in the general vicinity. Oh, no. Oh, dear. So you get where I'm going with this then.
Yeah.
The Lavinia is a region on the surface of Venus pitted with volcano domes and pits, some of which are nearly 3 kilometres across.
Penis, I reckon.
That is true. The Lavinia is a region on the surface of Venus.
I said penis.
I know. It's true.
Oh,
it's
right.
It's actually on Venus called La
I thought you
Lavinia.
were saying that it was true what I said. This is getting confusing.
Right, so unfortunately you've got none of these right so far.
And I've got one.
Question 3. The Buck's Fascia is the name given to a huge, partly collapsed volcano on Venus. One side remains intact and towers above the surface, reaching a height much exceeding that of Mount Everest. Is that Venus?
A penis.
It is penis. It's a layer of deep fascia covering the 3 erectile bodies of the penis. If nothing else, you'll know a little bit more about your penis.
We don't need to do a podcast on penises anymore.
No, well, not a whole one anyway.
Just a semi.
Correct. Yes, I think we should finish on that. Oh, dear. That might be the funniest thing you've ever said. Right,
Thanks.
question 4. Venus has fierce boiling winds that sweep the surface of the planet called coronas. They reach speeds in excess of 200 miles per hour.
Is that the end of your
is that
sentence?
Venus
Why'd you say it like
or
that?
penis? I forgot to tell you that there was really high winds on Venus.
Oh, Venus.
So, do you think that's Venus?
Venus.
Or unfortunately, that's Venus. The corona of glands is the ridge around the tip of the penis. Oh dear! Oh dear! Oh dear!
Oh.
Question 5. Well, I've only got a few more of these. Aren't you glad I only did 8? Question 5. Venus wasn't always known by this name. In the old Babylonian period on Earth, Venus was once called Dilbat.
Venus.
That is Venus. Well done.
You said it went by a different name, but you never mentioned it earlier on the podcast.
Oh, I did. I might have given that away a little bit. Question 6.
Why Dilbat?
Don't know. That was just what they called it.
It's a funny name.
There was another name for it as well, but that was the one that sounded like it might be something to do with the penis.
The other one was called Dilly.
No, that'd have been all
there
right.
you go, Dilbat.
Dilbat.
Dillybat.
Question 6. The pressure on the surface of Venus would crush a human being within milliseconds. This process is known as corpus spongiosum. Is that Venus or penis?
That is penis, and that's when someone dies and they get an erection.
No, it's not. It is penis, but that isn't the way it is. It is the lining around the urethra, Franklin. It's,
So, what was it?
it's penis. It's the lining around the urethra. Right. Question 7. The penultimate.
Did this go better than you intended?
I don't know what I expected, really. Hesperos is the Latin name for the evening star, which in turn is better known as Venus. Hesperos
Venus.
is the Latin name for the evening star, which in turn is better known as Venus. Sorry, what did you go for?
Venus.
That is Venus. That's what it's called. And the final question. Question 8. In 1988...
Can I just say you're going to end on penis?
That's right. I think we need to have a little chat about that afterwards. In question 8, in 1988, no. Question 8, in 1998, a failed attempt was made to launch a probe to extract data from the atmosphere of Venus to enable greater understanding of the greenhouse gas effect. The ill-fated probe was named Tyson. Is that Venus or penis?
I don't know, but if it isn't penis, I feel like this climaxed earlier on.
No, you're no. Stick with the semi. That was great. Go on.
Penis. Just because I feel like you're going to end on penis.
It is penis. The perpetual gland of Tyson, or Tyson gland, sits just under the corona, which we established earlier on, was the ridge around the tip of the penis. So that is the end of my little Venus quiz. Glad I didn't say that's the end of my little penis quiz. I hope you enjoyed that. I think I might have to go back to something a little bit more traditional. If we do Great Apes next week, I think it should be something a little bit more...
You know what? That ties greatly into the next thing I'm going to say. Is if you have any complaints...
yeah, without a doubt, I think there could be.
Suggestion or questions or comments, you can send to us on our website, fatherandsundays.com. Go to the Contact Us page, or you can email us at contactus@fatherandsundays.com. All the episodes available on the website, as well as your chosen podcast platform, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads. Like, follow, share.
Talking of social media and the internet, I need to go and clear my history because, as you can imagine, I've been looking at many diagrams of penises.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
That was before you even knew we were doing a Venus podcast.
Yeah, no, that was just in between when I got bored. Right, marvellous.
Oh, my goodness.
So have you done all your spiel?
Yeah.
Okay, well... Thank you for sticking with us if you did. Apologies for sticking with us if you did.
Yeah, that was a bit of a hard one, wasn't it?
Oh dear, no, I think we better go. Next week's should be Great Apes.
Yeah, it should be.
Okay.
That's it. It should be.
That's it. It should be. It should be. So it's a